like one thing that when I lived in Toronto and what I hate was like obviously there, uh, like sometime in January for like 6 to 8 weeks, like peak winter, and the concept of like trying to like get snow off the car and like off your driveway every morning was like, hey, like I that like never appealed to me. I don't mind the cold climate, but like hey, getting out and like clearing off your driveway is not something that like was appealing to me. So what is your like how have you adapted to like the change in climate?
Yeah, it's been challenging, I would say. There's not really any way to sugarcoat it when you grow up in Australia, and you're used to like mostly sunny weather, and then you have the rolling thunderstorms come in, and you have that kind of big kind of like cinematic epic heavy rainfall. But then the weather's just so much more changeable in Sydney, and I'm sure Australia generally, just with like the high winds and the different weather systems that roll through. So it's kind of like, when I think about that time, it's almost refreshing in a way. It keeps you on your toes. You don't quite know what to expect, but at least like this is more sunshine. And I think what I've felt in Vancouver is it's not so much that it rains, or that even that it's like when it's cold. It's I think it's the depth of the clouds is so intense and smothering that the amount of light that gets through is so minimal, and to not have access to a significant amount of daylight, it's science. It affects your mood negatively, right? Like there's no way around that. So you have, people have seasonal affective disorder when winter comes through here, and you have like people that use daylight therapy lamps to try and get around these things. But I think the first 2-3 years, I got into a relationship pretty early after moving to Vancouver, like 3 months in. So I had like, the highs of a new city, a new relationship. So when winter rolled around and you have someone to spend it with, it didn't really bother me too much. But in the last few years, it's definitely when that kind of rainy season comes in, it really does take a toll, because you just know you have to it's basically 8-9 months of the year. It's most of the year that you're going through this period, and people will say, well, that makes the summers all the more enjoyable, and that's right. It's true. Like the summers are so glorious here because you actually savor it. And the difference, what I didn't realize about Vancouver is that once it is proper summer, it's basically straight sunshine through the whole summer. So you kind of at least that you have that sort of guarantee of a sunny period. It's not like summers can get disrupted by cloud cover on one given year. Like you're going to get that sun one way or the other, but it's it's very difficult to have that as the majority of your year, just to battle through that and not have access to daylight. I'll quickly reel them off, but we already talked about wages, you talked about weather. One of the other factors is culture. They don't, I've actually read a story about this, but they have a sit-down service-based restaurant culture here, as opposed to the pub culture in Australia. And for me, that there's no understanding how much of an impact that has on your ability to meet new people and to get used to talking to strangers and build community. And so I feel like that's a better, more upside in Australia, where not only do you have a more open hospitality space, but the weather is better, so that you're more inclined to do outdoor activities, which leads to meeting new people. So everything in Vancouver, at least, and probably kind of generally, kind of pushes you indoors because of the weather. And then you have this sort of service-based restaurant industry where you go to a table with your set group. You don't go and have a meal and just talk to people at the bar or whatever. So socially, it's tough as well.